How's it going? Welcome back to A Day in the Life of a Bus Driver, Part 2. So, Part 1, I just kind of gave a little bit of an overview of what I do in the morning for a pre-trip. Of course, I'm going to say it again, that's not exactly like how I do my pre-trip, but that's just like a general overview. I was having a hard time trying to figure out like how I could divvy up this series. I mean, there's so many things that you can talk about, but I think this one we'll talk about IEPs, since I do drive the special needs kids. Well, I don't even know what the politically correct term would be. I've always known it as special needs. Now they're labeled, disabled kids or something like that. I'm not too sure, so I'm probably going to catch a little bit of flack for that. But I mean, they have their kids with special disabilities. There we go. We'll leave it at that. So I want to try to talk a little bit louder because in part 1 I had to actually turn myself up a little bit when I was editing my video. So I'll try to talk a little bit louder because I've got the bus running this time. I am stopped. I've got my parking brake on. If you don't believe me, hopefully, let's see. Well, I'll move the wheel. There we go. That's my dashboard. My parking brake is on. I ain't going nowhere. So I'm trying to keep the bus a little bit warm. I mean, even though I am here in good old Arizona, it does tend to get a little bit chilly down here. We are in the desert. But anywho, IEPs, that stands for Individual Education Program. And I'm gonna probably put up a little slide with the definition somewhere here. Man, I keep putting my hand in there. Sorry, you get to see a lot of this, but pretty much, in a nutshell, the definition's gonna go a lot more in depth. Well, not more in depth, but it'll give a better understanding. But pretty much the IEP is what the school and the parents dictate how their learning is for their children who happen to have special disabilities. And that just covers a broad spectrum. I mean, the one that you always hear the most of is autism. Another one you hear a lot of is ADD, or let's see, because I said that too fast. ADD or ADHD, which I happen to have. So yeah, that's fun living with that. Mine gets all scattered around and lose train of thought, and then you try to come back and you forget. Oh, it's a fickle mistress. But anyways, let's see. I've been driving for. This will probably be my 7th year of driving. No, this will be my 8th year. I don't know. I've lost track. I've done so much and done so many things that it's hard to keep track of how long I've been actually driving. But I've been driving for a while now. And one thing that I have come in contact a lot with my previous employer and my current employer. I mean, it's nothing against them or anything. It's just something that I've run into. Is these kids, they have these IEPs, right? So the school and the teacher, they know what to do with that child. They know how to teach them. They know how to interact with them. They know that when the kids act up, they know how to discipline them. As a bus driver, you have no idea what to do. The other day, I mean, granted, with my current employer, I have the teacher's aide that gets on the bus and rides with me. So she's my monitor. I have a separate monitor for my other runs, but the midday and like I guess mid-morning run, I have the teacher's aide with me. So the kids know her; they're a lot more comfortable. It's, when you have a substitute, of course, kids always are going to act worse, no matter what. But I had a kid on here the other day. It was just screaming, and I don't know what's going. I don't know what's going on with the kid. Like, I don't need to know like the whole like backstory or anything, but I've been around enough. I'm still like gonna butcher all of this, but like I've been around enough people that have kids with special needs or special disabilities, however it's called, whatever it's called now. You just have to say, oh, my child has autism. Okay, I know there's a lot of different spectrums of autism, but you mentioned, hey, my kid has autism. I kind of know what I can and can't do to either discipline the kid or someone's trying to call me while I'm making my video. How dare they? I know how to talk to them if they're having a bad day. I know how to say, hey, what's going on? How's your day? And this is before I even take off. Like, if they've had a bad day at school, like, I don't want them to have a bad day or have a bad time on the bus. I mean, that's just that kid doesn't need that. Plus, I don't need that distraction either while I'm trying to drive. I mean, yeah, I have the monitor, but they can only do so much. I mean, I've got like, I know a lot of other places have more kids, but I'm the only special needs driver for my job. So I'm the only bus that transports these kids. So I have anywhere between like 12 to maybe 15 kids at a time. And that's either throughout the whole day, or on early release days or something like that, I might get like doubled up or something. But it is what it is. But back to the case in point. See, ADHD. That's crazy. But if we as bus drivers knew at least what the kid has, like what their problem is, and like we all work together as a unit to let everyone know, like, okay, this is how things are going to be handled across the board. Some kids, the music, some kids like music, some kids don't. So you have to find that happy medium of, okay, little Sally, she likes listening to the radio, but Billy over here, he doesn't like the radio. So you have to figure out that happy medium, like, okay, well, while Billy's on the bus, he's our first drop off, we won't listen to the music. As soon as Billy's off the bus, we'll crank those tunes up, man. And little Sally will have the time of her life, and those are just common names, so that's just examples. And it's really hard to try to approach something like this because you're really not sure like what you're getting yourself into. And I had, when I took this position, I literally had no idea what I was getting myself into. I drove from my previous employer. I drove I guess quote unquote the regular kids, or the regular routes or whatever. And so I didn't have to really deal with any of that. And so taking on this adventure, that's kind of like opened my eyes up a little bit. I mean, we still had the same issues over there because I was also a substitute driver. Like I was a regular route driver, sub driver, trip driver at my previous employer, and I was also a trainer. I'm still a trainer now. We just don't have that much of a high demand up here. But for my previous employer, doing all that stuff, when I had to sub like 3 or 4 different sped routes, I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and trying to make sure that, you know, all these kids are calm and collected, and making sure that their bus ride is safe. We get them to school, from school, take them home, take them on field trips, whatever the case may be. Like some of these kids, like, you kind of need to know like what's going on, and maybe that's something that could be changed. I mean, I know there's, you know, laws that protect for that and all that good stuff. You know, you have I'm probably mixing these up, but you know, HIPAA, you have like all these laws like HIPAA, FERPA, you have the there's probably another one out there that I'm not too familiar with, but just the ones that I've kind of come in contact, and they probably don't even have anything that's relatable to this. But you know, somehow, like, deep down inside, I know that one of those laws will protect a kid's rights for the IEP. And like I said, like, we don't need to know like little Johnny's like entire backstory, but you know, hey, you know, some of the kids you can just tell. Like some people, like, they don't have to tell that their kid has Downs or something like that, or anything else. Like, I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now. Just autism and Downs is kind of like just what's sticking out. But you know, some of them don't talk, so you can't really communicate unless you learn sign language, because a lot of parents, they teach their kids sign language, but if, you know, you as a driver or monitor don't know any sign language, how in the world are you going to communicate to this kid, like, if something's going wrong, to where they understand, you know? But so I guess, like, what I'm trying to get at is, like, maybe one day the district and bus drivers that, you know, are doing what I do, shout out to all the sped drivers out there, you know, maybe we can all get together and, you know, work something out to where, like, okay, you know what these kids have, you know what, you know how to handle them in certain situations. You're not just sitting there yelling at them like, hey, I told you to be quiet, or I thought I told you to shut up. I mean, there are drivers out there that tell their kids to shut up, which I don't think is right. There's plenty of other choice words that you could use, but, you know, I just thought I'd, you know, make this my part 2 video about the IEPs. And so, yeah, I'll try to drop a couple of things, like, around, you know, as I'm, you know, jabbering away. And so yeah, that's my part 2 video, is the IEP, Individual Education Plan. So again, if you guys have any questions or anything, let me know in the comments below. You can comment there, or you can find me on Facebook at Chaotic JGD. That's my username handle thing. So, like, if you ever, like, have any questions or, like, want to talk or about anything, just hit me up. I'm still a trainer, so I still have the know-how of things, because, you know, I have to be able to teach people how to do their job. So yeah, I think I'll probably end the video right here. Hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. I'm going to try to upload this tonight. If not, it'll probably be sometime like this weekend. So hopefully you guys have a great weekend. Be safe, have fun. Until next time, deuce.